There's just 2 months to first oil at the mega oil field in West Kurna, and tempers are fraying.
Виталий, вот смотри, я тебе честно хочу сказать. И сейчас не с неба эта дата должна быть. Идите поработайте. Ты же не хочешь, чтобы я тебя уволил?
The guys struggle with the timetable.
We're not going to start up unless we've got the whole of the piping 100% complete, and that includes pipe supports as well.
Lack of manpower.
How many people here now?
Like around 48.
So where are the manpower?
And broken machinery.
Stop, it's open completely.
But they do see oil for the first time.
The pressure is coming up.
It means that oil is coming.
Hidden deep below Iraq is the world's largest remaining untapped oil field, West Kurna 2. Extracting this oil is the greatest task ever faced by oil workers. But the greatest challenge of all is time. They have to lay hundreds of kilometers of pipelines, build a refinery, tank farm and power station, drill 500 wells, all within 14 months.
И это была такая гонка со временем. Это как быстрые шахматы.
Lukoil have only 10 weeks to meet their first oil target to pump 120,000 barrels of oil a day. This month is critical for all the construction projects at West Kurna 2.
Отстаем на 2-3 месяца, и нам необходимо разработать новый план мероприятий, который бы обеспечил своевременный запуск месторождения и начало добычи в этом году. Нам необходимо в 2 раза увеличить объемы работ, чтобы наверстать упущенное.
It's September, and both the power plant and drilling is on schedule. But the pipeline is X days behind schedule, and the central processing facility is Y days behind schedule. Work is still required on all of the 4 main projects. The central processing facility that will remove impurities from the oil, the gas turbine power plant to provide electricity for the entire project, the 102-kilometre long export pipeline, and the 28 oil wells. Cluster 10. The crew have just finished drilling their penultimate well and have fitted the Christmas tree. This is the set of valves, spools and fittings connected to the top of the well that directs and controls the flow of oil. But they have a problem.
Just now we have a problem with our rig because one safety valve is not holding the pressure. Dangerous, we have a gas on surface, we have a oil on surface.
The 150-ton rig is positioned over the leaking Christmas tree.
We have a fire or like that, damage a rig, etc.
If the problem escalates, it could lead to every oil worker's nightmare, a blowout. A blowout, it is the uncontrolled release of gas and oil. If ignited, the flaming ball will envelop the entire rig. They need to act fast.
We're gonna run inside the true Christmas tree, remove the back pressure valve, pull it out and install two-way check valve to secure the well from any leaks and from any pressure.
The crew need to use a specialist tool to pull out the broken valve. But the one they have is too short.
Only 3 meters. 3 meters. No, 3 meters is not enough. We should do it from rig floor. One from the floor. Yes, yes.
Okay. At a safe distance from the rig, they quickly get to work, extending the tool from 3 meters to 5 meters.
So right now we are preparing retrieving tool for back pressure valve.
While the tool is being extended, the rig manager instructs his crew on how to remove the valve without igniting the escaping gas.
After that, we are going to retrieve it. It's going to be hard. First, open equalizer. Equalize pressure. Be sure, no flowing. Be sure, subsurface safety lights. Hold.
Tension is high as they bring the retrieving tool to the rig. If the friction of the tool on the valve creates sparks, the gas will ignite and it will end in disaster. The team cautiously position the tool into the wellhead and feed it down the hole. As the retrieving tool rotates and opens the valve, pressure is released. Oil shoots to the surface and pours out of the Christmas tree.
Okay, re-equalize the pressure now. Probably. We are going. Okay, start. Hard. Stop. It's open completely. Equalizer.
They have removed the broken valve. Now they need to replace it to prevent any more oil escaping. To achieve first oil, 33% of the central processing facility needs to be operating. All the major structural work is now complete. The processing vessels have been fitted and the pipes connecting them are all assembled. However, none of this will work without electricity. Even at a third of its capacity, the processing facility requires an enormous amount of wiring to connect everything to the power supply. Getting all the cables in the right place is a mammoth task, requiring a huge amount of manpower. Every cable needs to be pulled into position by hand. Ali Rasool is overseeing the process.
The amount of cable which you have around 600 kilometers. That we're talking about cable from here up to Baghdad.
There is over 600,000 meters of cable that must be woven into the CPF.
If you imagine this CPF plant is like human body, the cable is like the nerve, which transfer all the signals, all the power, all over the equipment. This is the main function of the cables in CPF project. One of the hardest work we have it in the plant. It's consumed a lot of manpower. We're talking about 240 guys for cable pulling.
It's a tough job coordinating this many men over such a large area.
They work in harmony. If you hear these whistles, it's kind of to tune the people to make the tension the same time, so the cable will not be over tensions.
Walid's crew are working flat out, but despite this, they are behind schedule.
Yeah, we targeting to get 10,000 meters a day. Yesterday, for example, we did around 8,000. It's quite big numbers.
It means they are 20% behind schedule. This is a huge problem, and 2,000 meters of cable a day is a lot to recover. If they continue in this way, their target will become increasingly out of reach. If electricity is the oil field's nervous system, then water is its blood. The various facilities will consume a staggering 121,000 gallons of water per hour. 98% of Iraq's surface water is found in its two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. Lukoil is building a water intake facility on the banks of the Euphrates, 5 miles away from the central processing facility.
The bulk of the process in the CPF unit requires the water, cooling water for the cooling towers, exchanges, all the rest. This is the support system, and effectively is the heart of the operation, is to get water into the facility so we can do the process.
The senior management team are at the water intake site to check on progress.
Виталий, веди!
The last time Mr. Kazayev was here was in April, and it was nothing but a hole in the ground.
А мы в прошлый раз были, не было их, да, наверху же?
Да, не было. Пайпинг у нас закончен на 90%. Осталось только вот обвязка вот этих вот насосов, которые с бассейна будут поднимать воду наверх, туда, на резервуар. Под станцию идет полевые испытания, где-то порядка 80% выполнено. Идет монтаж оборудования KPA, 6 единиц уже смонтировано. Сейчас вот как раз проводятся тесты.
Construction of the water intake facility is almost complete. Now the crew need to connect the facility to the river. 3,500 tonnes of riverbank has been painstakingly carved out so that the river can reach the site. Now Mr. Kazayev is inspecting the temporary dam that separates the river from the two intake pipes. They can't remove this dam until the filters arrive from the ports. These filters are vital. They stop solid material from the river entering the inlet pipe, ensuring only clean water reaches the facility. Mr. Kazayev is worried that the dam might not hold back the ever-rising waters of the Euphrates.
Я просто хотел обратить внимание, что вода уже под самый срез. Если еще приподнимется, опять все затопит.
If the dam protecting the construction work is breached, the site will be flooded, causing further delays.
Совсем под самый этот...
Despite the fact that progress seems to be good, Mr. Kazayev is not happy.
На русский. Это самый готовый объект, но даже самый готовый объект нас не радует, потому что опаздывает на 1 месяц.
It's Gary Smith's first day back at the central processing facility after a 4-week vacation.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
He's a piping supervisor and he's eager to check on progress.
Well, before I left, this pipework here, the underground piping, wasn't connected to the exchanges, so it's good activity here, good progress.
While he's been away, all the underground piping has been completed. These are the pipes that will bring oil from the clusters and water intake facility into the CPF.
The underground piping comes in with the crude oil, comes through the pipe rack here, and then goes through onto your trains.
There are 3 sections of pipes and vessels, called trays, that have to be completed for first oil, known as Mechanical Completion 1, or MC1 for short.
It's all to do with the MC1 completions. We're not going to start up unless we've got the whole of the piping 100% complete, and that includes pipe supports as well.
Gary is satisfied with the progress of Tray 1. However, it's a different story at Tray 2 and Tray 3.
We're looking at support problems insofar as they're not installed. Quite a few people and other trades groups working pretty much on top of one another, which gives me an interface problem. We can see that there's quite a lot of paving work that still needs to be done. And there's a hell of a lot of pipe work that needs to go in also.
One of the main problems is this. The connection between the underground and overground pipes don't fit flush. Fixing this has taken time.
It's a typical example of where we've actually got a problem with the underground and above ground. This flange here is obviously too high to match the flange that's here. The pipe that's here, we'll cut that and lift it to suit and do a re-weld on there. We're not going to rework the underground at this moment.
Now the entire piping project is X days behind schedule. Gary is going to have to come up with a plan to get back on track. "6:45 a.m. Mr. Kazayev is at Cluster 10, a mile from pilot camp, to check on progress. The completion dates keep shifting due to delayed materials. Mr. Kazayev is fed up with being kept in the dark and relying on unrealistic dates.
А каким нашим графиком?
Они не должны еще закончены. По графику мы должны выполнить 92%, фактически выполнение составляет 90%.
То есть у тебя отклонение на
У меня
2%.
отклонение.
Давайте мы договоримся так. Виталий, вот смотри, я тебе честно хочу сказать. Ты же не хочешь, чтобы я тебя уволил? Но если ты говоришь мне раз за разом, что это будет 4 ноября, а я 4 ноября сюда прихожу, и этого нет, и точно такая же ситуация возникает во втором и в третьем случае, то это говорит, или ты не квалифицирован, или ты плохо управляешь, или он тебя обманывает. Я тебе все понятно говорю. И сейчас не с неба эта дата должна быть. Идите поработайте и назовите. А ты возьми на контроль, чтобы они четко сказали, дата, когда должен быть закомплектован объект.
With his job on the line, Vitaly needs to come up with a realistic schedule quickly. However hard life is on site, Luke will never forget their obligations to the people who live on and around the oil field. Since the start of the project, they have listened to the local community's needs and have discussed how best they can help. 17 miles from West Kurna lies the town of Al-Hawa, home to under 1,000 people. The local hospital has been underfunded for generations. Lukoil recently donated equipment to the X-ray department.
والحقيقة ساعدنا بحل الكثير من الأمور خاصة بالحالات الحوادث حالات طارئة. في السابق المريض نحتاج نرسله للتصوير الشعاعي إلى مستشفى المدينة، مستشفى بعيد عن المركز. في الوقت الحاضر حالات طارئة وحتى الحالات الباردة أغلب الأحيان نقوم بالتصوير الشعاعي هنا في مركزنا.
The impact on the lives of both doctors and patients has been immediate.
نتقدم بالشكر الجزيل للشركة، شركة لوكويل الروسية، نتقدم لها بالشكر الجزيل على المشروع هذا التصوير الشعاعي، جهاز تصوير شعاعي، جهاز حديث وأنا شفته هسه، وأنا جاي صدفة اليوم أصور عندي تصوير شعاعي بيه بنفس الجهاز. فالتصوير الشعاعي كان قديم موجود عندنا ومو هنا كان يعني كنا نروح للكرنة أو للمدينة تصوير يطلع لك أشعة.
Locals are now beginning to appreciate Lukoil's contribution, especially when it comes to employment.
جدا وصار حركة عمل بالنسبة لباقي السيارات، باقي المكائن، باقي تجارة الأخشاب، الحديد، قام يصير سحب مواد أولية، مواد خام موجودة في المنطقة، استفادت كحركة تجارية وحركة عمل بالنسبة للعمال.
They have created over 10,000 jobs for local people and invested heavily in both hospitals and schools. As the company will be here for at least 25 years, this investment is good news for everyone. The pilot camp is the hub of life at West Kurna 2, but it is much more than just an accommodation block. It is a mini town where people arrive as strangers and leave as friends. It houses Lukoil's offices, gyms and canteens.
It's your first time here? No, it's not the first time.
At any time, 700 people from around the world call it home. Without their skill, West Kurna 2 will be nothing but dust.
Today we have Oilman Celebration Day, and it's special holiday evening dinner. to celebrate all these people who work for Oilman.
Very nice food.
You know, we are restricted here, but they have some non-alcoholic champagne and wine.
But there is more to it than good food and drink. There is some healthy competition to celebrate too. Oilman Day is a Russian tradition.
It comes from the history from the old Soviet time when we stated that all professions are equal.
It's an amazing thing that Lupo has brought about for us on a yearly basis. And it's about team spirit, it's about people, and it's about the whole aspect of being together.
The competition lasts late into the night.
Without a doubt, it's been fun. I think all the staff has enjoyed it as well. And with things going the way they are, I think there's a lot of happy people in the camp at the moment.
Over at Cluster 10 there is good news. The broken valve has been replaced.
Yes, and now well secured properly. We pressure tested it and we remove a Christmas tree now and we skid the rig.
Now they can slide the 150-ton rig across to the next slot. And they can begin drilling the final well for first oil. The colossal rig needs to slide 15 metres. Special tracks are brought in and laid out in front of the rig. Harnessing the power of compressed air alone, the enormous 150-ton rig glides over the tracks. The tracks need to be moved once again to lie in front of the rig. In this way, slowly but surely, the rig moves a little closer to the final well. Like a well-oiled machine, the team works seamlessly in assembling, lubricating and reassembling the tracks. And in 3 hours, they have completed the job. Finally, drilling on the last well for first oil can begin. At the central processing facility, cable pulling is ongoing. However, over the past month there has not been a single day where the crew have reached their target of pulling 10,000 metres of cable. By now, they should have pulled 350,000 metres. But they have only achieved 250,000 metres. They are now a massive 30% behind their target. Getting this project back on track is now in the hands of cabling supervisor Anthony Ober. There is only 5 weeks to go until the cabling is due to be complete. It's critical that as many people as possible are working.
How many people here now?
So like around 48, sir.
48.
But now the workforce has decreased from 250 to less than 50. Their daily target has also been ramped up.
Okay, the new target per day is at 18 kilometers per day, which is going to be a very, very difficult task to achieve.
If 240 men couldn't manage 10,000 metres a day, 48 men have no chance of pulling 18,000 metres.
Plan to increase to bring in more manpower, about 150 manpower.
Ober's demands have gone straight to the top.
We need to get 150 people more for the cable pulling and termination, and then we start pre-commissioning. So we are pushing some swing now to speed up the mobilization of people.
It's quite simple. If they don't get more men working, then the wiring will not be completed on time, and the CPF will fall even further behind schedule. At the water intake facility, the filters have finally arrived. But they came a day late. For just last night, the River Euphrates washed away the mud dam protecting the intake pipes.
What happened?
We had dumps which were protected our area, construction area, but unfortunately the Euphrates River level raised immediately up and destroyed our dumps.
The intake pipes are now 13 foot underwater, and it's imperative that the filters are fitted as quickly as possible to prevent solid material flowing into the facility. The crew now have to remove the 2,000 tons of mud that form the dam before the filters can be fitted. Now the pipes are submerged, fitting the filters is going to be challenging. But the Samsung manager has a solution.
I already tied it here.
You dive? Okay, very good.
He's a scuba diver. He volunteers to fit the filters himself along with one of his colleagues. If the divers can fit the filters, there's a chance that the water intake works can be finished on schedule.
A plan in place to enable us to install them, to expedite the works and still maintain our planned mechanical completion date, which is the 12th of October.
At 12 o'clock, the scuba equipment arrives and the divers prepare for the job. First of all, the half-ton filters are lowered into position by a crane. The divers will then secure each filter with 16 bolts. The dredgers have churned the river and left it full of muddy sediment, so the divers are unable to see. They're going to have to work by touch. They work throughout the afternoon. After 3 hours, they manage to secure the filters in place. As soon as the filters are secure, the guys open the valves that allow water to flow into the facility for the first time. This is the moment they have been waiting for.
It's coming, it's very, very dirty. The pipe, where all the mud has settled inside the pipe, it's probably just washed it all in vortexed in and just pushed it all into this chamber, so this will settle down. Maybe we have to remove the water and then have another clean out.
They flush the dirt out. This is good news. Now there is a chance that the water intake facility might be finished on schedule in just 3 weeks' time. Everything on the oil field requires an enormous amount of electricity to work. Lukoil have commissioned a power station to provide this electricity. However, this is not due to come online until April 2014. Kirill Maximov is the manager of the power plant project.
The main purpose of all this power plant is to supply power for the entire oil field, including our accommodation, all auxiliary production sites and the major CPF sites.
The plant has been designed to be self-sufficient.
That means that we will utilize the gas which is coming as a byproduct of oil production, which is very good for environment, because instead of burning it in the flare, we are utilizing it here for energy production, and basically based on this gas we are producing power to feed our production sites. The turbine is about 42 megawatt each. The one of this machine can produce power to supply electricity for 100,000 houses. So the entire power plant can produce energy enough to power the city like Newcastle.
The power plant is powered by these 3 giant turbines built in Italy.
And so this is the main machine and the main equipment of all this site. 3 machines is because we have to maintain a certain level of reliability. For example, if one machine is down for maintenance, we can maintain load with 2 other machines.
Despite being ahead of schedule, the power plant is not due to go online for 5 months, and electricity is required now. So 48 generators have been imported from Lebanon These have finally made their way through Umkasa port and are en route to the central processing facility. And they all need to be connected to the CPF. One set of electricians are wiring up the generations, another are preparing the newly built substation. The substation will provide power to the entire CPF.
Here, this substation feeds the whole plant. All the equipment are fed from here. Yeah, you see all those cables you see outside, we need to bring them, all the cables, pull them into this place.
Getting the cables correctly connected to the substation is a complex and time-consuming job.
Hey, good morning.
Samsung have employed a number of qualified electricians.
And we have skilled laborers. They are technicians, they are cable terminators, and they are going to do all the testing for the switch gears.
Outside, a new team of 150 cable pullers finally arrive. They have a massive job to pull 16,000 meters of cable every day. It's just over a month since Gary Smith inspected the piping and discovered that the underground pipes bringing water to the CPF didn't fit the overground piping of the facility itself. The guys have been hard at work and have succeeded in making a new fit that is flush.
Well, at the moment, if you remember right, when we last came here, we had an elevation problem. This flange here, connecting to the carbon steel flange, it didn't match up. Basically, the carbon steel piping was far too long. What the guys have done now is they've basically reconfigured the pipework insofar as they've actually cut back on the carbon steel piping to change the elevation of the carbon steel piping to suit the ground piping, which is basically the GRE cooling water pipe at the moment.
Gary knows that the cause of these problems is hard to pinpoint.
For example, in this instance, it could have been a couple of things. One, that the piping has been placed in the wrong elevation, the lower piping. It could also be that there's been a bad fabrication. In other words, that the fabrication of the carbon steel pipe wasn't correct. Or it could be an engineering drawing mistake. So it's one of three things basically on this occasion. There'll no doubt be x-raying these wells, which means that everything here now will be to full specification required for the project.
But he also knows the problems are mounting up. Individually, they might appear petty, but the cumulative impact on the schedule is devastating.
We are getting quite a few errors, yeah, which again is impacting on the schedule. Now we've had to do the rework, we've got to use more labour, as you can see. It's more time consuming and therefore it will impact on the schedule. And the more we have like this will definitely impact on the schedule even more.
First oil is just a month away, and all these pipes need to be in place, tested and working before then. Mahmoud El Feki has been a drilling supervisor at West Kurna since the project began.
Go ahead, 42, that's 2 strokes, 560 baseline.
His rig has consistently drilled wells faster and more efficiently than any other.
We need just to push it up to go back to the drain, okay? Okay, good luck.
On numerous occasions, he managed to avert disaster through his speedy intervention.
In oil field, you never know what happens. At any time, you can face any kind of small problems, can be catastrophic.
Lukor's management are well aware of Mahmoud's ability.
Mahmouda!
Each well is unique. It's like, for example, you are father and you have some babies. All of them is not the same. You are the same father and same mother for the same children, but all of them is not the same.
Grigory Mortsen, the drilling project manager, has arrived to offer him a promotion.
Mr. Mahmoud, I want to suggest to start working as a drilling manager on our field.
You know, it's a good surprise.
As a matter of fact, you'll be my deputy, but here on the field, on West Kurna.
I hope that I meet your expectation from my side in this new role.
Okay, I have to go. Thank you.
Mahmoud's delighted with his promotion, and he heads off to visit the drilling supervisor at Cluster 10, who has just completed the final well required for first oil.
Hello. Good afternoon. I'm here from management. They asked me to go to cluster 10 and to congratulate the people and thank them because of their achievement.
Finished the drilling phase in 31 days, which is 10 days ahead of plan.
10 days is a very big achievement. So thank you and congratulations.
In recognition of Cluster 10's achievements, they are awarded the flag for the best drilling crew of the past 3 months. Drilling Superintendent Vadim arrived at Cluster 7. This is a monumental moment. After 13 months of continuous drilling, oil is about to come to the surface for the first time, driven by the release of pressure underground. Vadim is here to measure this pressure.
Some kind of historical moment now. We will get first production. We will see big fire. I hope so. It's always exciting. Always.
To release this pressure and to get the oil moving, the well needs to be perforated.
We close to moment when we will drop bar and activate guns.
This is done by dropping a metal tube containing a small explosive charge into the well.
This is the perforation bar. So we run this bar just to initiate the firing head. And the firing head is going to transfer the explosive to the guns.
Once the concrete is perforated, pressure will force the oil and gas up the pipe. This will be diverted to flow into a pit dug a short distance from the rig. A rigger clambers up the derrick tower, holding the tube with the explosive charge.
Okay, drop it. Down.
He drops it down the well to hit the concrete plug. He turns the valve to divert the flow of oil and gas.
So everybody here and
the guys are waiting for the charge to take effect over 2 kilometers below ground. The pressure gauges will tell them when the perforation is complete.
we will see here any pressure increase or not.
The pressure rises as oil and gas moves up the well.
Yeah, pressure
The pressure is coming up.
Okay.
This pressure means that oil is coming in.
Yeah, it's good indication. And so right now everybody happy.
Pilot lights are lit to burn off the oil and gas when it reaches the pits. Finally, oil comes to the surface for the first time at West Kerner 2.
That flying, it's probably most of beautiful what I saw in my life.
The power of the flare indicates that the pressure of
Each
the oil
time, as first time, you know, we drill that hole, we spend some part of our life in that job. And it's why, when you look at it, it's exactly what you actually did.
Now, you know, the people, they think that when we drill the well, we got oil and we wash our face with oil. No, it's not true. It's not. We never see the oil, and we see the oil only when we start testing.
So that's some kind of historical moment. Basically, it's first oil and Kurna. Finally, it's the end of well, and we get good flow.
Now they know the pressure of the oil is strong. They will recap the well until the construction is complete for it to be piped directly to the central processing facility. It's September, and both the power plant and drilling is on schedule. But the pipeline is X days behind schedule, and the central processing facility is Y days behind schedule.